Well, good day, everybody. Good morning. It's almost 11 a.m. here. It's actually almost noon. What am I saying? Welcome to Trip Podcast Joe Goes TV. It's beautiful Monday morning. It is almost noon. What do we get right about Andrew Tate, and what do we get wrong? So wrong about Andrew Tate. So unless you've been hiding under a rock for the last year, I guess you know who Andrew Tate is, and accused of being I don't know if I can say all these words, but human trafficker and the other R word and a lot of other bad stuff and just anti-woman rhetoric. Now, I was watching a thing about him on him. I think it was from his lawyer, or maybe, yeah, I think it was, and other people talking about how it's all a front as far as his personality. And how do you forgive that or excuse that in light of what he says that is so damaging to people, and that young people and that men in general listen to and maybe even believe? Certainly, if I was a young man, if I was in my teens or 20s, I would probably think this is the way to go, especially if you don't have a father. My son has me. He has a family, so he understands what is fake from real, what is entertainment, meaning Tate, from what is real, meaning his father, his family, what his values are, what he knows about life. But obviously he has millions of people, young men and women, I'm sure, that believe what he says. So what we get wrong about Andrew Tate is that words don't matter. That to treat women, or to even if it is a front, or he's just being like an action hero, that doesn't matter somehow. Of course it matters. If I was to say these things to my son, let's say if I had been teaching him these things, that you can sleep around, that you don't have to have just one woman, that women are property, that you can just tell your woman what to do, that all of this stuff, he would believe it because he's my son. And let's say if he was 12 and I would talk to him this way for 10 years, by the time he's 22, heck, by the time he's 16, he would be destroyed. And so words matter. You can't. And then, of course, all these charges. I mean, wherever there's smoke, what do they say? There's fire. This is the third time, right? It happened in UK with the whole Big Brother thing. Now it happened in April. Now again, obviously there's stuff there. And they're almost like disconnected. It's his persona and the fact that he's destroying young people's lives through what he says and not being accountable for what he says. And then you have all these accusations of really horrible stuff. So let's say it's all a lie, right? It's a matrix, right? Okay, well, man, we got to really be careful with all this matrix stuff. The vaccines and Trump and Piers Morgan and Fresh and Fit and all this manosphere red pill thing is really feeding on red meat. It's feeding on this disdain that we all have for the other side, left versus right. It used to be Trump versus the world, right? Now it's red pill versus blue pill. Now it's Tate versus the Matrix. It's Fresh and Fit versus feminism. You have all this feminism rhetoric. And the reason why this matters is because as I said, if I hadn't been teaching our children, we have 2 daughters and a son. If my wife and I hadn't been teaching these things to our kids, meaning values, respect, honor, mutual submission, working together, of course, roles, it's normal. We all know. We don't have to be taught what the roles are. We all know that if I have to take out the trash, I take out the trash. If my wife has to cook, then she cooks. If I cook, it's a team effort. We have to go back to what the Bible says. Submit to one another. Love each other sacrificially as Christ loves the church. That's it. All the rest you sort it out as you go. But in the absence of religion, faith, Jesus, in the absence of traditional families, a man, a wife, a husband, a wife, a mom, and a dad, you have then this chaos. Then young men, church Christians, it doesn't matter, are looking for basically God, are looking for Jesus in all the wrong places. And people like Andrew Tate or Trump or Obama or whoever it is are going to always appear as Christ-like figures to people that are in need of hope and help and and guidance in the absence of religion, church. And about what I mean by religion is the best of religion: commitment, faithfulness, going to church, serving, having a faith, having people that are encouraging you and supporting you, studying the Bible. That's what religion just simply means. I forget the word. I think it just means practices, right? The actual word religion, I looked it up. I forget what the word, let me see what the word religion actually means. Not what it means in the mainstream, but what it actually just meaning of word religion. Let's see here. Not religion, religion. Yeah, so belief, worship, yeah, those are just how it's used. But the actual origin, it's a Latin word, religare, to bind. Yeah. So to bond, reverence, life under monokebala. It's an old French word / Latin, as most words are. Yeah, that means obligation. Religio, bond, obligation, reverence. So to bind, that's what it means. It's to be bound to a certain set of beliefs. I want to be bound to Christ. Jesus is my religion. I remember a guy that I met a long time ago. He had a thing called Nation Builders, a brand new website back in like 20 years ago, revolutionary. And his thing, his TED Talk that went viral was the internet is my religion, meaning he's bonded to, he's given his life to the internet. He was right. My point, though, is that religion is a good thing because we are connected to God. It's only now that, oh, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. All that garbage is what is the problem. We need to be religious, commit to giving and tithing and serving and worshiping and growing and changing and the word of God and sermons and individual practices. All this stuff that I just worship at home. I don't need a community. I can just listen to Joel Osteen on TV. You're not going to, like my pastor says, are you really praying at home? Come on now. You never pray. Are you really watching sermons online? Yeah, okay. While you're like watching Facebook and Netflix on the other screen. So that's what Tate gets right, is he's a religion. That's what he is. He's a religion. Now, why do Christian young men fall for Tate? Because everyone falls for violence. If women are against me, if I can't get women, if I am mad, if I am angry at God or my family or at myself or my circumstances, then I'm going to find someone to blame. Blame women, blame Trump, blame the vaccine, blame the government, blame the CDC. You always blame someone. We should blame ourselves. Sometimes maybe we should blame God. At least he can handle it and we can actually talk to him about it and say, okay, Lord, I don't get this. I just did a video that went viral on YouTube called I Blame God for My Unhappiness. And then everyone's like, yeah, I get it. Because that's what we as humans do, right? When we're suffering, we blame someone. What we need to do is to go back to loving each other. Love is the answer. Love is all we need. We know this, right? Jesus is love. He came to unite us, black and white, Democrat and Republican, red and blue, and red pill and blue pill. And you know, then you have the whole thing with Ye and Kanye with all the anti-Semitic stuff. In the name of love, that's not the way to go about loving people. By saying all these people and all those people and these. Now, okay, let's pause and reflect about racism and all these issues that are real to me as a person of color, as a POC. I understand that. It's true. But am I going to hate people because they're anti-vaxxers or anti-immigrant or anti-this? No, I can't hate. I have to stand for what I believe in. I have to say, respect me, love me as I love you, submit to each other, like the Bible says, submit, and we have to grow. Now, what happens if someone doesn't change? You can get out of those systems. I've been in very, quote, toxic religious systems. And so I've had to get out of most of them. And now I'm here online talking to you. But we're making the same mistake over and over again if we keep looking for someone to hate. We, of course, stand up for your values, but make sure that your values are biblical. And most of all, make sure that your values aren't greater than love. Last night, I was texting with my wife. She's in Oregon with my father-in-law who's not well, praying for him. Today he has a big appointment with the oncologist. He's dealing with cancer. And she sent me this reel, maybe you've seen it, of an otter just holding her little baby otter. And the music, it's all cinematic and it's making me cry. It's like 11 p.m., like full on, like just bawling. And it said, I don't know, something about love your family or love the ones that you're nearest to. it just hit me once again how we are all created to love. We're all created to love. We're not created to hate. We're not created to hate a black person because you're white or even because they injured you. Because it's not everyone. It's just that one situation, that one person. We're not created to hate someone because they're Democrats or anti-vaxxers or anti-mask or it's violence. Jesus is the Prince of Peace, not of justice. He's a God of justice. Don't get me wrong. Now you can say, well, what about standing up for your rights? Yes, I believe in that. I have. I've done it in meetings, in conversations, in churches, in my own family, if needed, with people, of course. I'm not saying let people walk all over you. And I would say what we as Gen Xers fail to do is to stand up for our rights. Now, of course, MLK did it in the 60s. But then since then, we've let people walk all over us. Now, millennials and the younger Gen Z, right? Gen Y, Gen Z, and whatever else, they maybe aren't as sacrificial as we are. They don't know suffering the way we do. And I think every generation says that, right? But they definitely know how to stand up for their rights. But don't let that be your God. Jesus could have come into Jerusalem on a chariot and destroyed the Roman Empire. Instead, he came in as a humble king. And one day, he will return with fire in his eyes. We have to come into every situation as humble kings on a donkey. And God will give us the praise. People will see that and say, Hosanna. Blessed are you who comes in the name of the Lord. Like my pastor was saying yesterday, that at work, he filled out this application and the HR lady said, everyone talks about how religious you are, how a man of faith you are. That's what we all need to be aiming for, is that when we fill out an application or whatever, that people's comments, I'm not saying that that's what we live for, but that people can say, yeah, he's a man of faith. He's a man of God. Does my mechanic think that? I just went and dropped off one of our cars at the mechanic. Can he see Jesus in me, regardless of his own faith? Can he see love? I'm not going to say Jesus like a crucifix or a Bible. Can he see love, kindness? Or am I saying, oh yeah, those Trumpers, oh yeah, those black people, all the Hispanics, all those illegal aliens, right? Of course, that's going to always appeal to people because it touches that violence in them, that pain in them. It's like if someone says to me, oh yeah, all those white churches, I can just go off, right? Or all those, I don't know, immigration people. Instead, what I say to him, speaking of my mechanic, I said, God bless America, because he gave me a good quote on the car, and I just feel so happy. He's French. I'm from Nicaragua. So here we are, two immigrants doing business here in Long Beach, California, blessing my daughter, who's mixed, a U.S. citizen. And he's working on a Swedish car, a Volvo. How crazy, right? God bless America. God bless the world. God bless you and me. I'm not saying be naive, be dumb, let people walk all over you, don't stand up for your rights. Just don't let your rightness turn to violence. Don't let your own wisdom overcome the wisdom of God. Don't let your what Paul says, don't let your rights violate somebody else's rights. Don't let your permission, I think it's what the word says, offend somebody else. Your maturity, your knowledge, don't let it become violence. We all know something that someone else doesn't know. We all have an experience that we believe in because it hurt us, or it gave us freedom, or it gave us peace, or it's our truth based on our politics and our background and how we grew up and our parents and all that stuff. But don't let all that stuff become violent. Let all of those things turn to love. Let everything that we go through turn to love. Let everything that you've been through turn to love. I don't think Tate is some sort of like violent person, but he's definitely a liar. He plays kind of a superhero on TV. He's spewing out violent stuff, very promiscuous stuff. I mean, someone says, oh, it's male empowerment. Male empowerment should not be about you sleeping around because you're a top G, so you can have 10 women. Or 4 wives, or you can be a Muslim and have 7 virgins, or 70. Well, where is that? Oh, every king, every sultan, every blah. How about every man of God should be faithful to one wife? And if you've screwed up and you go back and you say, Lord, help me to be faithful. We discipline our urges. Like Paul says, we buffet our bodies. We say no to all these temptations. Women too, whether, feminism and the be boss and I'm in charge. We submit all those instincts to Jesus. We say, Lord, change me. God, I'm too promiscuous. I'm too mean. I'm too obnoxious. I'm too pessimistic. Lord, I'm too wild. Lord, change my heart, God. I don't want to be that way. I want to be like you, filled with love. If any of these things are causing you to harm somebody else, to harm yourself, to not bring love and peace to the world, to not create beautiful music and teach Bible studies and help the poor, then get rid of it. I'm guilty of it. Sometimes I listen to all these podcasts and I'm thinking, I probably should be leading Bible studies and teaching production and recording more music instead of listening to all this junk, which is only making me more upset. Actually, it isn't, because I'm an old guy, so it's not making me upset. It's entertainment, but I get it, and I get it as such, but it can be a waste of time, and it often is. Now, if you're a young man, a young woman who's addicted to Fresh and Fit or Pearly Things, or maybe you're more like Joe Rogan, Ben Shapiro, any of that stuff, be addicted to Jesus, his word, music, worship, content on Jesus, preachers, sermons, the Bible app online. I always think of my wife when it comes to this, because she is one who doesn't consume any of this junk. She's not on social media. She's not on Facebook. She's not on Instagram. She's not on any. Yeah, we're old, right? But there are people like me one of them, that is always on there. Why is her life filled with compassion and joy and peace? All the right things, a true woman of God, because she says no to all the junk of this earth. She doesn't give in to the content. And the reason why I think we have to create content that is positive is because there's so much junk online that is destroying young people, teens, babies, 5, 8, 12, 15. I don't know why we got so... It's almost like what happened is there was a vacuum. There was a horrible vacuum, right? Secularism and sin just was rampant in the 80s. It's always been bad. 60s, 70s. I mean, any decade, right? Every decade, every generation has had terrible issues from the beginning of time, right? Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel. But then in the vacuum of righteousness, of morality, I guess you could call it, or family values, as sometimes it's called, then you had Trump come in. And all of the Christian right, quote unquote, said, okay, this is our hero. I'm not sure how that happened, because it turned into the economy. And yet it's Christians who are voting for since when are Christians concerned about the economy? I mean, all of us obviously need a job and unemployment to be low and house prices to be affordable. Okay, in education, I get all that. My point, though, that's where the religious people went. They went political. So now you have twice the vacuum. First, you have the vacuum of regular people that are saying, I need hope. I need more than just Netflix and Twitter and all this stuff. I need love. I need help. So then you have the Christians, 80% of them, that went political. So now these people are even more desperate. Okay, so obviously church is off the table, right? Who cares about God and church? Look at what happened. Then you have the pandemic that made things even more dire. And so then guess what happened in the middle or post-pandemic? All this stuff has come out because people are looking for something to hang on to give them their lifestyle. And then, of course, you had George Floyd and BLM and all the horrible anti-black stuff that happened. And then all the Colin Kaepernick, forget his name. All the stuff that happened with Colin. All of that racism stuff, and then you have the pandemic, and then now you have the mask stuff, and vaccines. That's from the Matrix. That's from the One World people, and all of this conspiracy stuff. And then you have all these podcasters, Joe Rogan, right? And then you had Ty Lopez with all the money stuff. Remember? So all of this stuff began to just bubble up in the middle of all this pandemic, and even before that, right, with Ty Lopez and Grant Cardone and some of these influencers. And now here we are, with all this Andrew Tate stuff, Fresh and Fit, anti-woman, feminism, whatever, right? All these extremes. We continue to look for extremes. And what's happening to the people? They're saying, I'm running out of choices here. I'm running out of options. I guess I'm going to have to become this crazy red pill person or this crazy Tate person or this crazy Trump person. I have to be crazy. I have to take off my clothes. I have to start an OnlyFans. I have to quit church and go and show my body and just, I don't know, become rich and just go for capitalism and just go for broke, because those values of the home, of Jesus and of a God-centered family are gone. Now, I'm not saying, oh, whoa. No, okay. In light of that, what do? We, especially I think Gen Xers, we have to stand up, because we are the parents of the 20-year-olds, right? That's what we have, 3 20-year-olds. We have to keep talking about what God says. Not politically, not Trump, not Biden or politics in general, not Tate, not Ty Lopez and get rich, or no, but Jesus, simplicity, peace, love, kindness, discipline. So what do we do with relationships, being that that's the biggest thing that Tate and all these red pill people talk about? It's not promiscuity. It's faithfulness. It's not having 10 chicks. It's being married to one woman and submitting to each other. For the women, it's not about you being better than the man or need a man, or I don't even know if that's true. It's about you loving your husband, submitting to him, mutual submission as Christ loves the church, as we need to submit to God, as he loves and protects us. That's what we need to be talking about. We need to amplify more media. That's why I'm a Jesus mogul. I am the Andrew Tate of Christian radio, as I say, because we have to stand up. I mean, he's a 36-year-old man. I'm a 50-year-old man. We that are of this age, and he's obviously a lot younger, but even me and younger people, 30s and 40s, we have to be an example to the 20-year-olds that are looking, that didn't have a father, that didn't have that morality at home, those Christian values. I'm not talking about promise keepers and focus on the family. Those things were fine, but they went political. That's what happens, right? We have to be pure. We have to stay pure to the gospel, to church, to the Bible, to being Christians and Jesus followers, not Tate or Trump or Biden or Obama or whatever it is followers, or capitalism or hedonism or self-care, addicted to self-care. We have to create content. We have to just build normal families that love God, that love each other, that love Jesus. And I think we have to stand up. And we have to do it, at least in my world, through media, through music, becoming a Christian mogul, not to be a billionaire or a millionaire or even rich, but simply to make ends meet, of course, but to provide a platform. My dream would be to be the Prager University or the Joe Rogan University. I'm not into him, but meaning a platform, Univision or CBS or Capitol Records for Christian content, kingdom music, kingdom media, kingdom podcasts, so that you that maybe doesn't have the tools or the resources, or you need a producer, someone else, me, can encourage you, can guide you, can coach you, and can just simply provide the studio and the gear to get your message out. We need more. We need people just with their phones on TikTok. You don't have to be in a studio. But if you do want to compete with the Ben Shapiro's and whatever else, and competing is the wrong word. If you want to be noticed, it has to be better. And that's why people like me exist, to produce. I was just watching, I think it was a TikTok of this guy who owns a food truck, a guy about my age, maybe a little younger. And he was saying, I was against all this podcasting and media stuff, but now I'm all in. So he hired a company, it wasn't me, but he hired a company like Trig Media to do all his content. And now he's blowing up, selling food, right? Hey, man, I love food, tacos and all that stuff. I'm thinking, man, how I wish more Christian leaders, authors, thought leaders, speakers, artists, creatives would say, hey, Trig Media, can you come and produce my show? Because we need to get this message out there for my food truck, which is Jesus, which is whatever experience you have, whatever God is doing in your life, your ups and downs, your struggles, your wisdom, you can't, something that we get right, or that Andrew Tate gets right, is that he is, I don't know if he's IQ smart, but he definitely is a good talker, right? We need good Christian talkers. that are talking about family values. I don't want for my kids to be millionaires or to be influencers or for them to be red pill. That's not what I pray for. No parent prays for that for their kids, or to be feminist or anti-feminist or woke or not woke what do you pray for? A good marriage. That they have morals, that they love Jesus, that they love their parents, that they honor their bodies, that a man of God would marry them, and vice versa, that they would find a woman of God and they can have a happy marriage that is successful, that lasts a lifetime, that endures a test of time, that they're growing in their faith, that they can establish a family and pass on the values that we taught them to the next generation. That's what I pray for. That's what my wife and I pray for all the time. God, for a godly husband for our daughters, for a godly wife for our kids, and that they stay away from sin, all the sinfulness that's out there, all the wretchedness and ratchetness, all the 304-ish that is out there. And for men to honor their bodies, to honor their girlfriends, to honor the women that they're in love with or they're in relationship with, sexually and in finances and in drugs and addictions, for them, for you and me. And then we need to have examples of the older generation, but now it's our turn. I was just, maybe I'll wrap up with this. I was, Chandler Moore, an amazing singer and songwriter, Gyra from Maverick. He's taking a break because his marriage is probably falling apart. And I'm not against that. Here's my point though. I don't know what my point is, except it just grieves me to think that we can have it all. We have to focus on home. I'm not rich. I don't have any hit singles. I don't travel. I don't have any books. I'm nothing. I'm no one. But yet I have everything. I have my wife and my kids. I have 3 college graduates who literally yesterday were worshiping next to me at church in their 20s. My kids, they're not just out there on their own after having lived through a bunch of stuff and now they're back. I mean, God bless everyone's journey. I'm not saying they can't sin or can't or don't, or that we don't, Rochelle and I. But my point is, the proof is in the pudding, man. We have invested. I, as a man, as a male, that, hey, look at that girl. Hey, look at that job. Hey, look at that money. Look at that career. I have chosen to focus on my wife and marriage. It's been an intentional time thing, a commitment of time and energy and space, and saying no to all these other things. And then I've committed as to be present in our kids' lives so that we can have the joy of having, here I am, my wife is in Oregon with her dad, as I said, yesterday in church, and every Sunday, my 3 adult kids next to me worshiping Jesus with their hands in the air saying, Lord, you are my God. So with Chandler Moore, I don't know. I guess the reason I'm down on that whole thing is because it's young people leading the blind. Chandler Moore is not my example, nor should he be your example of anything except a wonderful worship leader with a gifted voice. He hasn't proven anything yet. Follow the Christian Tates of the radio. Follow your parents. Follow leaders who have been through it, who are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, who you can see in their lives. Not material Andrew Tate record plaques and YouTube plaques success, but familial success, love success, integrity, character success. Those are the people that you and I need to follow. I followed my father and Rochelle's dad. I followed my mom, my grandma. Still to this day, I remember all that she taught me, especially us that are Hispanic or people of color. We have that heritage of our parents and grandparents and abuelitos and nanas who taught us the right stuff, but we have disregarded that. We have to go back to those. And now it's my turn. And many like me of our age, Gen Xers, 40s and 50s, who I wish more people would say, hey, Trig, tell me, how do I build a marriage like yours? So because I don't have the fancy car, the fancy watch, or the fancy successful platform, nobody watches me, then nobody cares. But that is a tragedy, because Andrew Tate has billions of people, and yet here we are. Chandler Moore has billions of people, and yet here we are. We need everyone. But it's time for young people to listen to listen to wisdom. And I'm not the only one. There are many people like me of this age who have the successful values. I don't have a fancy car. My car is like 20 years old. I live in a very humble home. I don't have any fancy anything. I don't have a ton of degrees and success and money, but I have a basic, beautiful life filled with love and compassion. But yet people don't want that anymore. People now want money, success, plaques, awards. They want the best looking, the best, many followers. And yet what matters is love. And there are a lot of young people who are learning. I'm not saying that people aren't learning. There are ton of young people who are turning their lives around. I'm a part of a church victory outreach. My goodness. It really is. It makes me cry every time I'm there. I was just there yesterday, leading worship, helping, just being present. Just the honesty of these young people. And it is a ton of young people. That's what I love it so much. It's not crusty old people like me. That's fine. We all need Jesus. But it's young people who are desperate for God. A young pastor and his young wife and his young leadership team. And I'm the seer, the wisdom person, the old guy, the uncle. I am so in love with what VO, downtown Santa Ana, especially shout out, is doing. And many, it's not the only church. All of the VO movement and many other churches. I know obviously we're not the only one that are pursuing righteousness. And I'm so thankful. We need to continue to do that. Well, okay, that's all I have. Thank you so much. Make sure that you do sign up for my coaching program. It's free, davidtrey.com/coaching. If you would like happiness coaching, midlife coaching, how to get through your quarter life crisis to the other side, your midlife crisis, 40s, 50s to the other side. I've been there, done that. I'm here to help you. Sign up for my coaching. It's free. And I also have special packages to help you along your journey. Thank you again for being